What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug, and welcome to my 2021 WWE Royal Rumble predictions video. Let me know who you think's gonna win down in the comments below. Quite possibly one of the most unpredictable years in quite some time. I don't think WWE knows what direction they're going in towards WrestleMania. This is the road to WrestleMania, so it's gonna be a bumpy road, I think. But this Sunday, what's gonna happen? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches announced on the card as of Saturday morning. They have not announced a match for the pre-show, but it's the pre-show, so kind of who cares? And also, this is being filmed before WWE Backstage. That's going to announce 1 and 2 for the Men's Rumble. And we're going to find out who is number 30 in the Women's Rumble. But again, I'm filming before that, so kind of whatever. So, let's begin. Your SmackDown Women's title. Once again, it will be the Boss, Sasha Banks, defending against Carmella. And would imagine with Reginald at ringside, but I see no reason at this point for the Boss to lose that title before WrestleMania. Like, we'll get to Mania, that's fine. I just don't see Mella getting it done here on this show. But also, in general, the Royal Rumble never really has major title changes. Sometimes, here and there, but usually the focus is on the Rumble match itself. So I don't see many surprises happening here at this show. But, again, I've been on before, so you never know, right? But, moving on. We have the Women's Tag Team titles. Your champions, the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, and the Queen, Charlotte Flair, taking on the former champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And is this going to be the beginning of the Asuka and Charlotte eventually fighting at WrestleMania type thing? So, I know I just said usually you don't lose belts here, but I feel like they could lose the belts here to catalyst to end up with Asuka and Charlotte at WrestleMania, but also Charlotte is in the Women's Royal Rumble. So could she lose the tag belts here, then go on to be in the Rumble, to then go on to fight Asuka that way? I personally don't want to see Charlotte go back-to-back Rumble wins. That's just me. But again, we shall see on how that pans out. Was that last year? I know she's won. But honestly, at this point, I'm blanking on what happened at Mania. Oh, right, yes, no. She won last year and then challenged the NXT champion. That happened. That was a year ago. Man, it's been a long year. So, that one, I'm going to say perhaps Nia and Shayna get the job done there. Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a rift there between Asuka and the Queen leading towards WrestleMania. But, speaking of, and this one will also contradict what I've been saying here. And that is, we have your WWE Champion. Drew McIntyre goes on against Goldberg. Defends against Goldberg. And man, look, I don't mind having Goldberg as a spectacle, as an attraction match. I don't mind that. What I do mind is constantly putting Goldberg into championship opportunities. And why I think it is a strong possibility for Goldberg to actually win here is, number one, how they've booked Goldberg. But number two, right, if you've watched wrestling like I have for a long time, and especially WWE for a long time, right, and you have consistently seen whenever WWE goes extra hard on saying a superstar has never won a certain title, usually they win that title. Not always, but I would say 9 times out of 10, they go, oh my god, this guy has never been this champion. That's a setup to say, alright, they're going to be that champion. And I would love to be wrong here. I would love to not be correct here. But I feel like them hammering home the fact that Goldberg has never actually been the WWE champion means that he's probably going to end up being the WWE champion. And I don't want to see that, but I've learned to not bet against Goldberg. I mean, he beat The Fiend, right? So, yeah, Goldberg. I don't want to see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to call Goldberg at this point. So, next up, we have the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, defending again against Kevin Owens in a last man standing match, which should favor KO. His whole gimmick is that he won't stay down. So, of course, in this kind of match, he wouldn't stay down. But it's Roman Reigns. And I don't see the head of the table losing until WrestleMania. And even then, maybe. I just don't see Roman losing here before WrestleMania. So you're going to ask, well, then how would you have Roman win in a match where Kevin Owens will not stay down for a 10 count? And I'm like, it's WWE. It's last man standing. It's wrestling. Duct tape, handcuffs, forklift, shark cage. There are ways to prevent somebody from getting up, and I'm sure they have some kind of a spectacular finish planned for that match that'll keep Kevin Owens down for a 10 count in a last man standing match. So yes, the big dog gets it done, Roman Reigns, and still your Universal Champion. But those are all the matches that are kind of, alright, get them out of the way, because you watch this show to watch the Royal Rumble matches. And on the side of the women, that match only has 13 competitors announced as of Saturday morning. So only 13 out of 30, less than half, have been announced for that match. And I'm not going to go through all of them, all the announced competitors. I will say that number 30 is being fought for tonight on Backstage between Natalya and Tamina. So one of those two is going to be the number 30 spot. I don't think either one wins that match, but one of them is going to be 30, so sure, I guess, right? But I will say, as of Saturday morning, your odds-on favorites would be Charlotte, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Bianca Belair. Those are kind of your main top names going into this Women's Royal Rumble match. But for me, the wild card and potentially the victor. Well, first of all, I'm going to say that I think that because of the current angle, they're going to have Bayley and Bianca 1 and 2. And they might go all the way to the end, right? But I think those two are going to be in it for the long haul as 1 and 2. That's just my guess here, right? Because that would make sense for their current feud and angle and whatever else, right? But I think that the wild card here, somebody that has not been seen on NXT since losing a last women's standing match, Rhea Ripley, the Nightmare, could be here and could win the whole thing. That is my pick, is Rhea Ripley. Because obviously, like, not being on NXT since that is a pretty good indication she'll be on the main roster. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, does she fight Asuka or does she fight Sasha? It don't matter. Is she a face? Is she a heel? It don't matter. It's going to be something. It's going to be somebody, but I'm going to say Rhea Ripley. Now, if for some reason Rhea is not in this match, then certainly Bianca Belair is getting this big, huge push right now, and certainly I could see her fighting Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. But I'm going to go with Rhea for now. But again, it could also be Charlotte. It could be Alexa Bliss. Like, thinking about it. Whoa, Nakamura. Thinking about it. The fact that Alexa just got RKO'd out of nowhere, perhaps Alexa not going to be 100% for that match. But we shall see. So, that takes care of the women's side. Now, the men's side is, I think, much more interesting because I really don't know who's going to win and who's going to WrestleMania. Now, they have been saying and hammering home that Daniel Bryan has never won a Royal Rumble, which would usually indicate that, hey, he's going to win that Rumble. Like, that's going to happen. And certainly he is the heavy favorite. But because I don't feel like right now they have a clear path towards WrestleMania, there are kind of a couple of favorites here, both announced and not announced. So, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, as of last night, Braun Strowman, Edge, Randy Orton, Nakamura, The Fiend, Seth Rollins, right? You've got a bunch of top names and no clear path for anyone right now in terms of, alright, usually your matches for Mania kind of are obvious at this point in January. This year, not so obvious. Not so obvious. So, yes, I'm going to call Bryan winning this whole thing. Honestly, it could go anywhere, right? But things I see happening in this match. You could have Bryan at number 1 and go the distance. That could be a fun story over the course of the match, right? But I think more likely is that at some point, Randy Orton clears the ring out, right? And who comes out after Randy Orton after he clears the ring out? Either Edge or The Fiend. Both have a issue with burn-face Randy Orton. How is The Fiend going to be in this Rumble? I am impressed, for once, that WWE had the restraint to have The Fiend get burned at TLC, end of December, and he has not been on TV since then. I thought maybe they would do it like this past week, but no. There has been zero Fiend, and I think that you don't necessarily need to have The Fiend in the Rumble to be at the Rumble. But if he was, I could see Edge, Randy Orton, face-to-face, milking the non-crowd, but they're milking it, right? Face-to-face, angry. They don't start fighting just yet. It counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Fiend's lights go out. It goes dark. It comes up. Fiend, Orton, Edge, stare down, brawl. But I don't think The Fiend has to actually get tossed out by anybody. I think after Orton goes out, Fiend goes after him, and that whole thing continues with that. Randy Orton RKOing Alexa Bliss was the final straw. We're going to see The Fiend by hook or by crook at this show, and perhaps with some new gear in TAC, or in, new gear for The Fiend, I think makes a lot of sense after having his whole thing burned at TLC. But besides that, Seth Rollins, I expect to see at this show. Because they said Seth back on SmackDown like weeks ago didn't happen. So Seth here makes all the sense in the world. Is he a face? Is he a heel? Who knows? I think a face Seth means he's going to win the Rumble, but heel Seth as the Messiah, not. Because you would see a face Seth versus a heel Roman could be a big money match at WrestleMania. But perhaps too early, perhaps SummerSlam for that. I don't know. But I'm going to say Daniel Bryan wins it because they've been hammering home that he's never won one before. Now, they could swerve us. They could have Bryan get all the way to the end and then super heel heat for whoever tosses him out. But usually these things get telegraphed pretty far in advance with what they've been doing, and that makes the most sense to me. So, Rhea and Bryan, your Royal Rumble winners. Now, I could also see a thing where Rhea wins the Rumble, right? Charlotte and Asuka lose the belts. Charlotte and Asuka fight at Fastlane or The Chamber, and then we get the reverse of last year where we had the champion Charlotte and the challenger Rhea Ripley at Mania. Could happen. And hey, in front of a crowd, that'd be great. But that kind of screws Asuka, so we'll see. Because you would think that the money match there is going to be Asuka and Charlotte at Mania one more time. Because last time, guess who lost? Now, some other names that people have been tossing around for this show. Brock Lesnar, I don't think will be there. He's not currently under a contract. Ronda Rousey, you don't want to have her without, whoa, frame rate, Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch just had a baby. I don't see it happening. So we need at some point to have Becky and Ronda one-on-one, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Perhaps next year in Texas at Mania. Anyhow, those are my Royal Rumble predictions. Let's run them down one more time. Sasha Banks retains. Nia and Shayna, new champions. Goldberg, new champion. Roman Reigns retains. Rhea wins. And Bryan wins. And there is your Royal Rumble match. I'm attackslug. More videos right here on this channel. Tune in. I'll see you next time. We'll see who wins here in the game. And number 30 coming down to the ring as The Fiend just gets thrown out. We have Edge, Apollo. We have Apollo, Cesaro, Otis, and Robert Roode is number 30. Man, what a Final Four. Roode, Cruz, Cesaro, and Otis. There goes Cesaro. There goes Roode. It's Otis, and Apollo Crews are the final two in this video game Royal Rumble in 2K20. But why? But why? I'm coming! And Apollo Crews wins the Royal Rumble. Crews can't lose. There we go. I'll see you next time, right here, and I'm out.